Today, should fuel taxes be slashed to save drivers money? Does Nigel Farage need to apologise for a reform row over the Grenfell disaster? And would you ration kids' Easter eggs? With me, Matt Allwright. Well, I call them Easter's eggs. Do you not call them Easter's eggs? Good morning, welcome to the show. It is Friday the 3rd of April. Good Friday. I'm standing in for Jeremy today and I'm joined, I'm very pleased to say, by journalist Nina Mishkov and political commentator Emily Hewitson. Here's what's on the show. First up, should the government slash taxes on fuel to save drivers cash amid the Iran war, following a record rise in petrol and diesel prices in March and ahead of one of the busiest Easter bank holidays on the roads in years? The Lib Dems are calling for a 10p cut to fuel duty. He says that this could save drivers, that's Ed Davey, more than £6 each time they fill up a tank, but it could lose the Treasury billions. So do you want the Chancellor to act now rather than later? Then, does Nigel Farage need to apologise following remarks by Reform's ex-housing boss about the Grenfell disaster? Simon Dudley was sacked for saying that although the 72 deaths were tragic, sadly, everyone dies in the end. Farage has resisted calls from ministers to personally apologise. Do you think he should? And should Easter eggs be rationed to one per child? Parents give children a whopping 8 eggs on average, and with some eggs clocking in at close to 1,500 calories and containing up to 7 times a 10-year-old's daily limit of sugar, should parents actually ration chocolatey treats? After that, it's the papers and everything else, including the eye-popping price of tickets for the World Cup. Later on, Storm and Alexis will be taking more of your calls. They'll be asking if you're sick of striking doctors. If you want to get in touch, please do. 0207 862 2222. Love to hear from you on a Good Friday. Calls from landlines may cost up to 16p a minute, plus any call set-up fees. Calls from mobiles, they may cost considerably more. If you want to send us a message, head to Facebook or Twitter and search for Jeremy Vine on 5. Welcome, panel.
Morning.
Lovely to see you both.
Hi.
Thanks for hitting us up on a big Good Friday. We really appreciate it.
Start of the weekend.
It's the start of the weekend, a long weekend for many people. A very special weekend for you, Emily, isn't that right?
Absolutely.
Easter, maybe more special this year than it has been for years.
Absolutely. I think it's very important to remember what we're celebrating this Easter. Obviously, we are a Christian nation, and I think it is important to remember the story of Jesus. And yeah, within the last year, I actually got baptised. So it's extra special for me this year, as you can see.
OK. This looks like a heck of a baptism. That looks like one of those... Is that one of those portable hot tubs? And on stage, you've got the video screen behind you and the band and everything. Tell me the story. How did you end up getting baptised at this stage of life?
Yeah, it's very interesting, actually, because that clip went viral. A lot of people had a lot to say about the whole lazy spa baptism with the electric guitar. But goodness forbid, I made my baptism a bit vibey. But my story is actually, I've always believed in God, but I wasn't raised in a Christian household. And actually, I was just scrolling through Instagram one day and a church popped up. And I just moved to a new area and I searched and the church was just around the corner. So I thought, you know what, I'll just pop in, see what it's like. And wow, it was such a vibe. It really changed my perception of what churches were like. And I just fell in love with it.
OK, did you already have faith, if you like? Did you believe in Jesus Christ? Did you believe in the teachings? Or was it just looking for a place to be?
I did. I always had this inherent belief, but it's weird because I wasn't raised particularly Christian. I mean, I got baptised as a baby, but I didn't really go to church apart from maybe the odd Christmas service. But I always had this inherent belief, and I think a lot of that goes for a lot of Gen Z. We hear all these stories about a lot of Gen Z turning to Christ, and I think that's really feel good. And my church is very much that way. It's full of young people. It's lovely to see.
Front page of the Daily Telegraph here, it says, we are seeing, this is David Frost, not that David Frost, we are seeing a Christian revival, it says. I wonder whether that is true. I say you say we're a Christian country. The vast majority of people don't believe it in anything at all.
Let's say worst case scenario and Christianity, the story of Jesus Christ, isn't true, which obviously I vehemently disagree with. Christian values are great values to rise a nation up with.
Do you think we need a faith to have the values in that faith?
No, I absolutely don't. And my story is completely the opposite, in that I was christened and not particularly faith-ridden, brought up as a Catholic until I was 15. And then I was... I thought very hard about it, and I thought, well, actually, this is just not what I want at all. I don't believe in it because what happened to me was that there was a big scandal. It was known as the thalidomide scandal, where pregnant women had been given drugs that actually harmed the fetuses, and there was a whole raft of sad young people who were born, you know, with no arms, no legs, all very foreshortened. And I couldn't understand. I remember speaking to the priest and saying, well, you know, how could God do this? And he said, well, they're a lesson for us. And I said, well, that's fine for us, but what about them? And I started to think about it, and I thought, right, so no, I'm not at all religious, and I don't, you know, fine if you believe it. But
Makes a lot of sense. I'm going to typically find the middle ground here. I've been spending a lot of time, been filming in Quaker meeting houses recently, and I have no formal faith, but I love what the Quakers have to say. This is a poster that's on the wall of one of the Quaker meeting houses I visited recently. Thou shalt decide for yourself. No one can tell you what you believe. You work it out, just listen to what's inside you, and that's good for you. Nobody has to tell you.
But that I agree with, that I really agree with. But what actually is the reality is that religion has been the cause of, and still is, the cause of most of the world's struggles.
No, it's people going against using religion as an excuse.
I'm going to say no Quakers are involved in those.
Listen, it's one religion against another, and that's the problem.
This is something that has been incredibly inspiring for a lot of people over the last couple of days. The mission that's got the whole world looking to the sky. History was made overnight as NASA's Artemis II crew successfully blasted out of Earth's orbit, marking the first time humans have done so since 1972's Apollo 17 mission. Look at this. It's the moment that the Orion capsule left Earth behind, now being propelled. It's a moonshot, guys, to the far side of the moon. NASA said the procedure was flawless. Its astronauts are doing great. Probably even more true now that a broken loo on board has been fixed. Thank goodness for that. It came just over a day after liftoff from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
Roll pitch.
There it goes, roll pitch. Look at that. The Artemis crew spoke to Earth shortly after completing the next stage of their mission. Here is Commander Reed Wiseman.
And I don't know what we all expected to see in that moment, but you could see the entire globe from pole to pole. You could see Africa, Europe, and if you looked really close, you could see the Northern Lights. It was the most spectacular moment, and it paused all four of us in our tracks.
Looks like a pyjama party, doesn't it? A lot of people will be reminded, of course, of 1969, Neil Armstrong. Not me. It reminds me of when we talked about the Jeff Bezos Blue Origin mission last year. That was the one where Katy Perry went into space. You may also remember that we had a wonderful caller named Yvonne. She's from Flintshire, and she went viral with her verdict on the rocket. Have a look.
The most upsetting thing, I think, is the shape of the rocket. It was obviously phallic, and I found it self-indulgent and disgusting, quite honestly.
Is that... I mean, surely they would work out the best shape for space flight, Yvonne? It wouldn't be all with that thought in their head, otherwise it wouldn't work. It wouldn't fly.
I've never seen a rocket shaped like this before.
I mean, they're all kind of phallic to a certain extent, aren't they?
This is especially phallic.
OK. Yeah, especially phallic. The clip racked up millions of views online, made a few headlines. It even appeared on Have I Got News for You? And here's the great news. Re-entering our orbit, Yvonne is back on the line right now. And I want to get her thoughts on the Artemis II mission. But first, Yvonne, did you know you'd gone viral? Did you realise that I'd had a call from a friend in Australia saying, I've just seen a clip of you speaking to a woman about the Jeff Bezos rocket? Had you any idea?
I had no idea at all.
You had no idea. Was it literally when you got the call from us about this one that you realised what had been happening?
Yes, and I've looked for the clips and I couldn't find them, but I'm not very technical.
Oh, well, listen, I tell you what, loads of people commented on them. Loads of people found what you said. I think it resonated, is the honest truth. And I'll tell you something else. Do you know why people found it so resonant? Some people find it funny. Shall I tell you why, Yvonne?
Go on, yes, please.
Because you were right. That's what it was. And not only, we had badges made around the office that say exactly that. You were absolutely right. It's not often I take a side in a debate, but look at that, Yvonne. You were right, and we can tell you now that you were absolutely right about that. And the guys are now putting on their Yvonne was right badges to mark that. There you go. How do you feel about that, Yvonne?
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you very much.
There you go. It's not often I get to tell a caller that they were spot on, but I'm going to say that. Right, let's talk about Artemis 2. Did you watch the launch?
I didn't watch it live. I caught clips on the news.
OK. Dare I ask you how you feel about the shape of Artemis 2?
It's the correct shape.
It's the correct shape.
Brilliant.
By which I take it to mean it's just phallic, but not especially phallic.
Indeed, yes.
Okay.
It's rocket-shaped.
It's rocket-shaped, absolutely. Did you? How do you feel about space travel generally, Yvonne? Is it something you find inspiring? What do you think about the fact we're going back to the moon?
I'm a bit torn, really. One, I think it's an awful lot of money to waste, but then we're making significant scientific findings. Like biros were invented because of NASA, the soft mattresses, etc. A lot of stuff's been invented because of it.
It remains to be seen what they're going to discover on this trip, Yvonne. Listen, thank you so much for coming back and being part of the show again.
Very welcome.
And please call in again whenever you feel there's something that you want to talk about, because you're a very special person and you're a very special caller. Thank you so much for being part of the show again.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Lovely.
We managed to unite the panel, which so few callers ever do, because Yvonne
There
was
we
right.
go. We've got a debate of which no one can disagree. Yvonne was right.
I loved your face when you were listening to her, and that you managed to keep such a straight face. I don't know how you did it.
Yeah, well, it's because she was right. I mean, it's that straightforward. You can't argue with someone that's got it spot on. Thank you, Yvonne. Thanks to all of our callers who are brave and call in and say what they truly believe. After the break, we're going to be taking more of those. We're going to be asking if fuel tax should be slashed to save drivers money. That's what Ed Dave from the Lib Dems wants after a record price rise at the pumps last month. 0207 862 2222 is the number. Give us a call now with your thoughts and we'll be back in just a moment. What's a chuckwaller? Is it a lizard? Is it a medieval weapon? Or is it a cocktail? Find out after the break. Before the break, we asked, what is a chuckwaller? The answer is a lizard. My money was on Australia. I'll be honest. Chuckwaller just sounds like,
doesn't it?
Someone you meet down a pub. Yeah. But no, it's from it's a lizard from the southern United States and Mexico. Large, bulky leg. It's got thick tail, short legs. There you go. 65 years old is the oldest one.
I was hoping it was going to be a cocktail, something new to try on the bank holiday weekend.
I would start cocktails on Good Friday at 9:30. I'd just get going early. Welcome
What's the
back.
time?
We are live on 5 with Nina and Emily. We're all completely sober, make that clear. Later we're asking if Nigel Farage should apologise for the Reform Grenfell row. But first, is it time to slash fuel tax to save drivers cash? 0207 862 2222 is the number. Lib Dem leader Ed Davey has called on the government to cut fuel duty now. He urged Chancellor Rachel Reeves to reduce the charge by 10 pence a litre, which he said would bring down the cost of filling up a tank by £6.60. He spoke out following a record rise of petrol and diesel prices in March as a result of the Iran war. Have a look.
The people of Britain didn't start this war. They didn't cheer it on, but they are paying the price for it every single day. So Rachel Reeves has a choice. She can stand up for those people and act now, or she can stand back and watch them struggle.
Get your sound sorted out, Ed. That's what I'd say. This comes ahead of the busiest Easter bank holiday weekend on the roads in years, with almost 21 million journeys expected. Fuel duty is set to increase from September when a 5p discount brought in after Russia's invasion of Ukraine is gradually reversed. The government, though, has said it's keeping this under review. Fuel duty raised close to £25 billion in the 2024 to 25 financial year. Can we afford to lose any of that cash? We know our councils, government generally, public services, cash strapped at the moment. Would you like to know how the price at the pump is broken down?
Yes, please, Matt.
Thank you, Nina. That's a correct answer.
That's exactly what we want to know.
We got petrol and diesel, all right? Petrol's green, diesel's black. Let's focus on petrol first. Let's say the average price at the pumps at the moment, £153.10. Right, VAT at the top makes up for 25.52 pence of that. That's 16%. Fuel duty is 53 pence nearly. That's nearly 35% of that. Then we get to the actual fuel. Down here, 75 pence, let's call it, is the cost of oil, fuel production and supply and profit margin. That's as a percentage of the whole price. OK, it's 48.75, so let's call it 49%. That means 49% here. Tax makes up 51% of the total price that you pay at the pump. So you pay more tax than you do for fuel. And here's the kicker. This VAT that's paid at the top, 25.5 pence, let's say, is charged not just on the fuel at the bottom, but the duty itself. You are effectively paying a tax on a tax. That's something we can talk about. Diesel works out pretty much the same way. 183 pence at the moment at the pumps. VAT is higher. Fuel duty is the same exactly, but then down here we get to the fuel cost and it's higher with diesel. So actually you pay slightly less tax as a percentage, 45%, rather than the 51% we pay on petrol. When you look at it like that, does that come as news to you guys when you're filling up at the pumps, that you're paying over half of it in tax?
I knew that, and it is horrendous. But I just say, before we get into the serious thing, that whatever the VAT, whatever the tax is, whatever anything is, there is no guarantee that when you fill up that you can get it to exactly 0.0.
Oh. OK.
Sorry.
No, it's a good point. Yeah. In a cash-free world, less of a thing.
Yeah. But
go on.
It is an amazing amount of fuel duty, but it's remained at that for many years now. It's not really gone up at all. It's remained static.
Do we care where that money goes, Emily? Do we actually care if that's going into government coffers or whether it goes to fuel producers? Why does it matter?
I'm really in favour of more transparency about where our tax goes, because we're at the highest tax burden since 1945. It's absolutely shocking. I'm sick of it, and I'm sure Rachel Reeves is living her best life after the current crisis. And I think we really need to de-incentivise government from doing policies that may result in putting up taxes, because at the end of the day, they're profiting. And I think it is a bit of a Good Friday miracle that I'm actually agreeing with the Lib Dem. But I think this is one of the taxes that we absolutely need to cut. I think it's very hard on people that only have the option to drive, for example, in more rural constituencies. And, for example, we're looking at policies such as train fares being frozen. I think it's only right that we also do something for drivers.
Does this not benefit those who drive the most? I mean, OK, there are plenty of small businesses that drive, and, you know, they
Some
are
people
going to
have
need
to
some
drive. Let's stop making
Not everybody
drivers
has to drive.
villains.
Not everybody has to drive a
But
Range
let's stop
Rover
making
Sport,
drivers
though.
villains, because I think a lot of people would rather have other options, but they don't have options, so they have to drive.
This would be a tax cut that would favour people on more income than those who can't afford cars, and I understand that, and I agree with Ed Davey on most things. He's a very sensible man, despite his antics, and he's got that 72 members in Parliament partially because of his antics. I think it's too early to cut anything yet. I mean, it's been going for what, a month now, the Iran war, and hopefully there'll be some kind of conclusion shortly, because Trump is desperately trying to find a way out. He's casting around he's saying, oh, we've achieved all our aims. What aims? We've done this and we've done that and blah, 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 and it's all going to... And hopefully that will soon... But, I mean, this is kind of a knee-jerk reaction, I feel, that it's only been a month. Because you cannot just have... You can make your own choices. You can drive less. You can drive more slowly.
That's very privileged of you.
No, it's not privileged. You can take the bus. You can take
Everyone has access
the train.
to good bus routes. I live in London. I'm very lucky. I can take public
I
transport.
understand that.
Many people can't.
I understand. We're not talking... I mean, you mentioned the people in the countryside, and I understand that. But the government cannot just jump in at this early stage, which it is, just to make people's life... This is what, things happen.
I'm surprised in a way, though, because aren't we talking about nanny state? Aren't we talking about the government interfering with a natural price that it's finding? We've accepted. We know that this is the way, don't we, that fuel duty works? And if we expect them to jump in with every crisis, every hike in every price... Well, we are talking about nanny state price regulation, which I would have thought Helen would be against.
I am absolutely against a nanny state, but I'm also against these the biggest, highest tax burden since 1945.
You can't blame this current government. You can't blame that on this current government, because it's brought
Not
to this
necessarily.
level.
I'm blaming it on any government. I think working people deserve to have more money in their pockets. They work very hard, and I don't think they get a lot back from the state for.
OK, let's take a call. June's in Stirlingshire. June, do you think it makes sense to reduce the tax on fuel to give drivers a bit of a boost?
Well, I find it hilarious that Scotland's got oil. Why can't they get the oil from Scotland? And it would completely stop all that. It wouldn't go up the way it's going up. So I can't see any reason why they can't do that.
Well,
and I find it quite hilarious.
We're fairly independent as far as oil and fuel is concerned. We get a lot of it from the North Sea. We also get a lot from Norway, is my understanding, June. So that's already happening. What we're talking about is trying to alleviate the price at the pumps and trying to make things easier. Do you think that's a fair way to deal with tax, or does it make things easier for those people who maybe can afford it anyway?
No, I think it's a great idea.
You do?
Because I have carers 4 times a week, and they have to drive to all other houses as well. Now, if they ration petrol, then people like me are going to suffer for it.
And those carers that you have, are they paying for their own petrol? Do they get it back from, the local authority or from the NHS?
I think, well, my daughter actually works in another part of Scotland, and she gets about half of the petrol paid, and she pays the other half.
OK, so this will make a big difference to her being able to do her job, and how much it keeps in her pocket at the end of the week?
I don't know how much she earns at all.
Right.
But I know it's not a big wage.
Yeah. So
she gets about $12.50 or something she gets per hour.
But presumably, June, she's covering big distances. She's in Scotland.
Yeah.
She's looking after people across a huge area. So petrol's a big consideration for her.
Yeah, because she could go to maybe 5 or even 6 different doors a day, or even more. So that's going to cost extra in petrol.
OK.
And then they've got the worry that they might not be able to do that if it gets, rationalised.
Yeah. Listen, it's a great perspective. Thanks for your call, June. We're going to be taking loads more like that. Whether tax on petrol and diesel should be slashed, it might save you cash. but do we need the billions that it currently raises? 0207 862 2222. That's the number. We'll see you very shortly. According to researchers, what unusual move could prevent seagulls from stealing chips? Is it painting eyes on takeaway boxes, using tinfoil instead of newspaper, or eating them with chopsticks? Find out after the break. Before the break, we asked, according to researchers, what unusual move could prevent seagulls from stealing chips? The answer is painting eyes on takeaway boxes. University of Exeter, the gulls are less likely to approach and peck boxes with googly eyes painted on them. I have never been attacked by a seagull. It's no surprise, is it? Have you ever been?
No,
never. You haven't got googly eyes, though.
No,
I have.
But they do. You know, if you're in an area where there is seagull attack,
Yeah.
you know, if you have a hat with eyes painted on,
That does the trick.
yeah.
There
Have
you
to
go.
try it.
Nina's tips. Hello again. As you can hear and you can tell, Nina and Emily are here with me this morning giving their seagull attack advice. Later, though, we'll be asking if we should ration Easter eggs to 1 per child. Now, I want your calls on this. Should the government cut taxes on fuel to save drivers cash? 0207 862 2222 is the number. Angie is in Lincolnshire, where I bet it costs quite a lot to get about Lincolnshire. Angie, isn't that right? You've got big spaces to cover.
Yes, we have.
Would you welcome this cut in tax then?
Yes, I would.
OK.
I'm an 80, as far as my carers are concerned, I'm an 80-year-old lump of meat in a bed.
OK.
I can't get out of the bed. I have carers all hours of the day and night. I have district nurses, social workers, all kinds of people
Angie,
coming to my flat.
Angie, I'm so sorry to hear you're in that situation, and it sounds to me like your carers are a lifeline. They are possibly, are they the only
Yes.
people that you might see during the day? You rely on them for
Yes.
almost everything that happens in your life. How about
And
this,
I'm
Angie?
still a member of my local Baptist church
Right.
and have been for over 40 years.
Well, we're going to wish you
And my faith keeps me going.
We're going to wish you a very happy Good Friday, Angie, and I hope you're having a good day. I'm going to ask you this, though. How about, instead of a tax, like Ed Davies saying, reducing that tax, how about we cut key workers some slack and say those people that need their travel for their jobs, we'll find them and make sure they get the reduction that allows them to do the essential work they do for you and other people in your situation. Wouldn't that be more targeted and make a lot more sense?
Oh, yes, please. That would be absolutely brilliant.
OK. Listen, Angie, thank you so much for your call. God bless you and have a great Good Friday. Happy Easter to you. Let's take another one. David's in Sunderland. Do you agree with this, what Ed Davies saying, David? To reduce this tax could make a difference for a lot of people.
Yes, especially the haulage, and food prices are going to go up because it's going to cost more to transport food. You know, it's not just the ordinary working man or not working man. It's going to affect everybody.
Those prices...
How come countries like Australia and New Zealand can do it instantly, and the UK, well, we'll see how much we can squeeze out of the people before we'll have to.
David, if we get this saving, and I say saving, it's a relative term, isn't it? But it's keeping us from the worst of these rises. How can we be sure that haulage firms, that supermarkets are going to pass on that cost cut to us as the end consumer? Because what we've seen in the past is when we're in a crisis, whether it's COVID, whether it's Ukraine, whether it's what we're going through with Iran at the moment, actually that gives them all the excuse they need to put prices up anyway.
Well, the petrol companies have already done that. They have petrol in reserve. They've bought it at a price. Yet as soon as there's problems, the price has gone up, 30-40% in a matter of days. Whereas all the petrol and diesel that they bought months ahead. And when it comes to the prices coming down, it'll be the opposite. We'll wait months and months before they actually reduce the prices.
Yeah, the research actually from in the Times, University of Warwick, I think it was saying that they make the profit on the way down because the prices don't drop quickly enough. So we're all keeping beady eyes on it right now. It's afterwards that we need to really focus on what's happening.
They're never going to lose out. That's, you know, whatever happens, whatever cuts there are, they are not going to lose out, and we pay. But at this stage, I mean, we can all take precautionary measures. I mean, David mentioned Australia. I mean, the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese get a really relaxed message to people before Easter. He said, you know, go slower. You know, I think the buses are free for a month, so that then, you know, we can all play our part. It doesn't just have to be government cutting tax.
And that's a country where you do have some distance to cover.
Vast distance.
As well, very few options as well.
Can we stop demonising drivers? Please.
We're not
we've just had a caller.
drivers.
We've just had a caller speaking about how she relies on key workers that need to drive around. So yes, everyone could do their part, but that's a very privileged position. Some people need to drive and can't do their part.
Well, you're saying we're demonising drivers. How am I demonising?
Because you're basically saying that they need to drive less, take it slower.
Okay.
Why?
That's not demonising. That's
we have to leave it.
Asking people
we have
to
to leave it right
special,
there.
you know, sensible precautions.
Thanks, guys, and thank you to David. Thanks for all your calls on that. Later, we're going to be asking if Easter eggs should be rationed to just one per child. Could you get away with that? After the break, though, should Nigel Farage apologise for comments about the Grenfell tragedy by Reform's sacked housing boss? 0207 862 2222 is the number you need, and we'll see you in a mo. Which city changed its name in 1914, 1924 and 1991? Was it Istanbul, St. Petersburg or Krakow? Find out after the break. Before the break, we asked which city changed its name in 1914, 1924 and 1991. The answer is St. Petersburg. 1914, it was changed from St. Petersburg to Petrograd. 1924 to Leningrad. 1991, back to St. Petersburg. Have you been?
I'd love to go. I want to go to the Heritage Museum, but obviously I'm not going now.
Yeah, it's not a great time to go at the moment. Have you ever been?
I've never been to Russia.
So that's Berlin, and that's St. Petersburg you need to go to.
Yeah, two on the list.
As soon as it's safe. We're going to build a list for you, a little itinerary for you, Emily. Welcome back. We are live on 5. Thank you for being with us this morning. Nina and Emily making up the panel. Absolutely hot to trot. Brilliant stuff. Let's remind you what's coming up on the show in a moment. Should Nigel Farage apologise for comments about the Grenfell tragedy by Reform's sacked housing boss? Farage has dismissed calls to do just that after all, he didn't say them. But ministers think differently. What's your view? 0207 862 2222 is the number. Then, should parents ration Easter eggs to one per child? Is it the one time of year where you let them indulge, let them do what they want, or do you worry about what all that chocolate is doing to their teeth and their tummy measurements? After that, we have got a few more stories from the papers and everything else, including the unbelievable price of a World Cup final ticket. Later on, Storm and Alexis are asking if you've had enough of striking doctors. Remember, calls from landlines may cost up to 16 pence a minute, plus any call setup fees. Calls from mobiles, they may cost considerably more. If you want to send us a message, head to Facebook or Twitter, search for Jeremy Vine on 5. Let's get on to our next topic, though. Should Nigel Farage apologise for comments made by Reform's ex-housing boss about the Grenfell disaster? 0207 862 2222 is the number. Yesterday, Reform sacked Simon Dudley after he said that while the 72 deaths in the Grenfell fire were a tragedy and a failure, sadly, he said, everyone dies in the end. Grenfell survivors and families called his remarks deeply dehumanising. And after the Prime Minister demanded that Mr Dudley be fired, Reform's Nigel Farage confirmed his dismissal.
The PM says you should sack him. Will you?
That's already happened.
Forgive me, what's happened?
He's no longer a spokesman for the party.
And will he stand for... Well, he's gone then? He's left the party or no one...
No, he's not a spokesman for the party. That has been dealt with.
Thank you.
Mr Dudley apologised for a lack of clarity about his comments, which came from an interview bemoaning a tightening of safety regulations. He said he was in no shape or form belittling the disaster and commented that it quite rightly prompted change. However, Housing Secretary Stephen Reid has since called for Farage to personally apologise for Reform's appointment of Mr Dudley, calling it a shameful failure of judgment. However, Farage had already made it clear that he would not be saying sorry.
Firstly, regarding Simon Dudley's comments, would you like to apologise to the victims of Grenfell?
Oh, I'll apologise for everything that's happened in the last couple of 100 years. Absolutely. This is modern journalism, isn't it? Apologise to victims of the Amritsar massacre, etc. I don't think I can say any more than that. You know, what more can I say? Then I think the comments, well, I've said offensive, deeply inappropriate, ill-judged. If that isn't a pretty clear signal, I couldn't even tell you what is.
I just wonder how you feel about Nino. I didn't feel empathy there, but the reality is he didn't say these things. He took the action to excise the person that did and get them away from the front line. What, do you have a problem with that? Do you think he's not showing leadership enough by showing empathy?
Well, first of all, he's not going to apologise. He's never going to apologise. That's not the sort of thing he does. And I think in actually saying, well, what do you want me to apologise for? The Amritsar massacres, which was, you know, in India last century. That's trivialising the matter, isn't it? It's trivialising it. It's you know, saying that it's just not worthy of his apology. But it goes to his lack of judgment, and it goes to the kind of people that can be attracted to a party like Reform, where there are insensitive remarks made and you know and thoughts and ideas about people which are repugnant to other people, and they try and keep them well hidden. But this has slipped out.
Do you not think that what he's saying is that we are seeing the apology as some sort of prize? We're politicising. He's actually taken the action that needs to be taken, and now we're about chasing some sort of trophy to say, look, we've managed to get an apology out of him. Is there any truth in that?
No. Well, he may see it that way. He may see it that way, but in reality, there are the relatives of the 72 people who died who will have been deeply wounded and hurt by this whole episode. And if he can't see that on a human level, we're talking about people having empathy, someone on a human level, and not just dismissing it and saying, well, what do you want me to, apologise for the Amritsar massacres? That's not that. These are real people now living who have suffered greatly, and somebody that he's appointed in his bad judgment, who has caused them further distress, and he's now kind of dismissing it.
But he's not. He's called the comments offensive, and he sacked him. What more do you want him to do? He's not a mind reader. You've got to take personal responsibility, and I think we're all in agreement that Simon Dudley's comments were wildly insensitive and deeply inappropriate. But at the end of the day, Nigel Farage doesn't have control over every single person he appoints.
No, but there's a difference between control and responsibility. And as a leader of the party...
Simon Dudley does have good credentials on housing, so it's not wildly unreasonable that he was appointed in the first place. And if we're going to suddenly hold this new president that if you appoint someone that then does something wrong, then why hasn't Labour apologised for appointing Angela Rayner, for example?
Why should they apologise for?
Because she's done something wrong. So is that the new president that
I don't think that an affair over her paying stamp duty on a house where she was misinformed or had misguided information in any way can relate to somebody who has insulted and distressed people who are probably still grieving.
Emily,
And I agree, but Nigel's
there's a
acknowledged
difference
that.
between what you say and how you say it. Now, what Nigel Farage, you could look at what he said there, and you could say, absolutely, he's excised the wound, he's got rid of the problem, he's acknowledged that there's a fault there. But there's also the fact that he, as the leader of a party, he may be our next Prime Minister, had the opportunity to speak directly to Grenfell victims in that moment and say, I understand why this was so upsetting. And in that moment, he chose not to do that. He chose to mention the Amritsar massacre, which doesn't feel all that relevant, does it, under the circumstances?
Yeah, but the question that the journalist asked was about the comments themselves, which he has repeatedly said is offensive. I just think this is a completely pathetic attempt by people that don't like reform to try and discredit them, when actually Nigel has done the right thing. He sacked Simon Dudley. What more do you want him to do? He's called the comments offensive.
No, as Matt said, he had the opportunity, given the circumstances, would you apologise? And he could have shown humanity, shown empathy with what these people are feeling and said, of course, I would never have appointed him if I had known that he would have made a remark like that or had these thoughts.
Okay.
No, he didn't say that.
He's implied that. Come on.
I'm not talking about implied. In fact, he got rather tetchy saying Amritsar massacre, which is an entirely different thing.
Let's take some calls. Victoria's in Glasgow. Victoria, do you think Nigel Farage needs to apologise on behalf of Simon Dudley and possibly even on behalf of the things he said himself?
Absolutely not. I'm not a lover of Nigel Farage, but I totally agree with the girl on your panel there. I don't know her name.
Emily.
He's got nothing to apologise for. He is not his brother's keeper. That's an old saying. He's not responsible for what comes out of somebody else's mouth. You can go back to Charles and Andrew on this one. Everybody wanted to kind of come out and say this, say that.
If Simon Dudley had won...
Charles isn't responsible for what Andrew does. He's an adult.
Yeah, Victoria, just to put it the shoe on the other foot, if you like, what about if Simon Dudley had just won a legendary by-election result? Would he take credit for that as the leader of the party that put him in the position to win that?
It's a hypothetical question.
Well, it is, but I'm trying to examine the case of saying... I'm trying to ask whether leaders should take responsibility for the actions of those who they have had a hand in appointing and who they oversee.
Okay. What responsibility does Keir Starmer take for all his party?
Well, I mean, it takes ultimate...
Did he apologise for the grooming gangs? Did he apologise for loads of stuff that's going on in his party? I'm sorry, but Nigel Farage has got nothing to apologise for, in my opinion.
Reform is always held to a different standard. I will make this point. I think this expectation that Nigel should apologise, but when's that question ever been posed to Keir Starmer over some of his appointments?
Stood up in Parliament only the other week and apologised and apologised and apologised.
Yeah, to save his own skin, because he was absolutely desperate.
If you're saying he doesn't apologise and then he has been in Parliament
But that's completely different, because there was already evidence that Lord Mandelson was dodgy and had links to Epstein.
And apologised and apologised.
But Keir Starmer appointed someone knowing his links to Epstein. Nigel Farage appointed someone who's got good housing credentials. He had no idea. He's not a mind reader. He doesn't know that Simon Dudley's going to make those comments.
But that's the whole point of appointing candidates for your party or somebody within your party. It's not just with their credentials. It goes to their character. It goes to their...
Yeah, and when he found out that he said those comments, he sacked him.
Okay.
He's done the right thing.
Let's take another call. Thank you for your call, Victoria. William is in Renfrewshire. Should Nigel Farage apologise for what Simon Dudley
Good morning,
said?
Matt and panel.
Good morning, William.
Basically, yes, he should apologise, but let's face it, apologies mean nothing in Britain anymore. I believe other parties have had the same problems before, and it doesn't really mean anything. The real crime is that nothing is done about these things like Grenville, blood contamination, Hillsborough, you name it, infiltration of women's peace camps, where nobody ever goes to court, nobody ever goes to jail. They just sign a cheque and walk away. That's a big problem we've got in Britain now. Nobody answers to anything they do.
OK, so, William, you're saying, on one hand, yes, he should apologise. On the other hand, it sounds like you're saying the apology doesn't make a difference. Let's see people in court. Let's see people facing big fines, the companies being more responsible for what happened. Does the apology, is it just a trophy? Does it play any role at all for those people who were affected, the relatives of people affected by Grenfell?
Of course not, because they don't trust the apology anymore. That's the problem. They want to see people in court, same as the post office. All these crimes They never seem to get to court, Matt, and that's a big problem.
OK, William, how about this? Do you feel, given what you've seen from Reform, that they are any more likely to bring about that kind of justice than any other party that's been in power, the Tories or Labour, over the last few years?
Well, you can only go by their record. They're good at looking after big business, and the man that's made more money recently is Farage. At the end of the day, he always look after big business.
Do you feel Simon Dudley's comments that everyone dies in the end? Do you think that is revelatory of something within the heart of Reform?
Well, it depends how you look at it. I would say yes. Other folk would say no. But the bottom line is what they've done in the past. And Farage is wanting to do with the health service, you name it, and bring it into private. Now he's backtracking that. Now he's sacking people because he wants to get into Parliament. That's all it's about.
Thanks a lot for your call, William. Let's take another one. Emily is in London. Emily, should Nigel Farage apologise?
No, not at all. And I quite agree with William. I mean, obviously, it was very it was very crass comments and very insensitive. But Labour must be jumping up and down with this because this is a great distraction from the events that have happened in London recently, and also, I believe, up north now, with the feral youths being, unaccountable and running around on social media. I don't hear any, I don't hear Sadiq Khan coming out and apologising for that. But, the thing about Grenfell, where's the apologies and the prison terms from the people that caused the issue, the people that fobbed off the residents for years, and the people that allowed flammable cladding to go up, knowing potentially what would happen? This man made a very ill thought of remark. He's been sacked. Nigel should have sacked him, in my view. But why should Nigel apologise? Why don't all these eminent politicians campaign for accountability so the residents of Grenfell can get some justice? Because all I see is public inquiries that cost millions and lessons will be learnt, and 72 people died for no reason.
Do you feel, Emily,
when those residents knew that cladding could be a problem?
OK, Emily, do you feel that Reform is in a better position than either the Tories or Labour to bring about the kind of justice that you're talking about?
At the minute, it's all words, because obviously Nigel Farage has never led the country. I mean, I'm extremely disillusioned with politics at the moment. I'm 56. I've never missed an election, be that local, European. I voted for, I took part in the Brexit vote. But I think I'm quite shocked at how politicians are behaving at the moment, and there just seems to be one scandal after another. And I think there's probably only a handful of really decent MPs in the House of Commons. I think a lot of them really should think about what they're doing, because I think the country is becoming a joke on the world stage. Okay. And I'm quite shocked and saddened by what's happening.
Well,
but,
listen.
No, Nigel Farage, I don't think he should apologise. If he gets in, we'll have to wait and see. But,
okay.
I mean,
Emily, listen, thanks for
my cup of tea.
Thanks for your call and thanks for your thoughts. And I'm sorry you feel about that way about politics. I just wonder whether... we know the Tories apologised for Grenfell, for mistakes made leading up to Grenfell.
But they're quite right. Nobody's been... we seem to be very bad at having inquiries because they last forever, and by the time you get to the conclusion, you've forgotten what you were asking in the first place, and nobody seems to become... with the post office scandal, where's Fujitsu? Where's money compensation from Fujitsu? Nobody seems to be talking about that.
Yeah. They make such a big noise at the time, and then you feel like as the years pass, maybe waiting for that verdict.
Decades.
Yeah, Hillsborough's still not properly resolved. Listen, later on, we're going to be moving on to the papers and everything else. Find out the extortionate top price of a World Cup final ticket. I can tell you it's in the thousands. After the break, though, we're asking, should parents ration Easter eggs to just one per child? I want to take your calls on that. We're going to also break down the calorie and sugar content of some of the eggs you may be about to tuck into this Easter. 0207862 2222 is the number to get involved. We'll see you very shortly. Who wears the fisherman's ring? Is it the King, the Speaker of the Commons, or the Pope? Find out after the break. Before the break, we asked, who wears the fisherman's ring? The answer is the Pope. It's also known as the piscatory ring. It's the fisherman's ring. It's a signet ring that's presented to the Pope at his inauguration. There it is. The ring's name is a reference to St. Peter, the first Pope, the fisher of souls. He was a fisherman himself, and that's what Jesus called him. There you go. Welcome back. We're all learning. Nina and Emily with me here on Good Friday. Later, it's the papers and everything else we need to talk about. Find out which music icon Donald Trump is calling a prune. Now, I want your calls on this. Should parents ration Easter eggs to just one per child? 0207 862 2222 is the number. Children are receiving, get this, a whopping average of 8 eggs this Easter, and that's despite health experts saying one sugar and calorie-packed egg is more than enough. The government recommends that 7 to 10-year-olds have no more than 24 grams of free sugars a day. That's about 6 sugar cubes. Children aged 4 to 6 should consume even less, a maximum of 19 grams. Let's have a look at a couple that have been named amongst the best eggs by Good Housekeeping and the Evening Standard. We'll start with the cream egg. You get an egg, 190 grams, plus 1 cream egg. And within that, you get 981 calories and 110 grams of sugar. Look at it there. When you see it like that, it's quite different, isn't it? Over here, Tony's Chocolonely milk chocolate Easter egg. It's 240 grams. It's got 5 mini eggs. That is 1,304 calories and 120 grams of sugar. You wouldn't eat that one. This is the one that's been deemed the most calorie dense by health provider Zava. Ferrero Rocher milk chocolate and hazelnut is 250 grams. It's got 6 Ferrero Rocher chocolates, and that's 1,562 calories and 104 grams of sugar. I somehow feel like I've just done a massive advert for these eggs, guys. What do you think? When you see it like that, when you see the sugar in the bowl like that, do you think we should be letting our kids anywhere near even one of these, Nina?
Well, it's quite terrifying. And what you haven't done, I'm sorry to say, is that you haven't done the fat content, because the whole point of chocolate is the mix of fat and sugar. That's no mouthfeel. That's they talk about it in the trade. I adore chocolate.
You wrote a book with chocolate in the top, your autobiography.
Yeah, Love, Sex and the Pursuit of Chocolate. And I adore chocolate. I mean, I was given at the publishing a 5-kilo bar of Belgian chocolate.
How long did it last you?
Well, it was awful, because I had to hide it from myself, and I put it up on a really the topmost shelf in the kitchen, and I found myself at 2 o'clock in the morning standing on a chair with a hammer, trying to get it. So.
And that's you as an adult. For kids, it's even harder,
but that's
right?
awful. And so, but I think, you know, even I, as an absolute chocolate lover, would say ration, because that's just ridiculous. 8 eggs. And I think actually it spoils the kind of very special nature of it. I mean, have an Easter egg on Easter Sunday and wait till then, and then you can enjoy it.
But then, well, I mean, we do that as parents, right? We ration it. We say, there's one for today. Let's keep that for a bit later. Well, don't we just do this normally? We don't have to impose this on parents for any reason.
If the average amount of eggs that kids are getting is 8 eggs, then we absolutely do need to do it.
That'll see you through to the summer holidays.
It's ridiculous. I mean, the childhood obesity, and obesity generally in this country, is literally off the scale. I mean, the BMI rates, although that's a discredited measure, the BMI rates in this country for children aged between 5 and 18 are twice that of those in France and Italy.
I mean,
twice that.
Obesity is a massive problem, Emily, in this country. And part of that surely has got to be that we use sugar, we use chocolate and sweets as a kind of reward system. It's kind of built in to what makes us feel good as kids, and we carry that through the rest of our lives, don't we? We've got to do something.
Exactly. Of course, chocolate should be a treat. But what better time to have a treat than Easter? It's a national celebration. And I think there's 2 times of year that I think children should have as much chocolate as they want. I think that is Christmas, and I think that is Easter. As long as you're promoting a healthy diet the rest of the year, you know, a bit of sugar 2 times a year isn't going to kill you. Do you know how many mini eggs it takes to put on 1 pound of fat?
Go on.
150.
But that's mini eggs.
That's mini eggs.
I know, but come on, if you're healthy 90% of the year, I think, you know, going a bit all out on Christmas and Easter isn't a problem. Let's stop demonising sugar.
We're not healthy. We're not healthy if children are this obese. And So as far as tooth decay is concerned, the highest number of admissions to hospital are for tooth decay. So we are not a healthy country in terms of food. And you watch kids coming out of school and they go straight into the corner shop and they're buying chocolate, they're buying Haribo, whatever.
That's a different debate. We're talking about whether you should be able to have a limited amount of chocolate on Easter.
But you were saying have it at Easter as long as you eat healthily. But they are not eating healthily the other days of the year because they're so indulged all the time. Just they want more and more and more.
We've talked about how Easter's a Christian festival. Let's not lose sight of the meaning behind it. Something that's very special to you, Emily. The commercialisation of this festival surely just detracts from it. Where we're just saying this is the moment that you get to gorge yourself on sweet things.
Look, I am all in favour of making Christ a centre of Easter by all means, but it is also a celebratory time. I would argue it's the most important event in the Christian calendar, and I think it's important to celebrate this time and, have as many Easter eggs as you want. It's a day of celebration.